to love one. I love to love one. Plenty of love each night.
What's good, everybody? D Dweller here. Been a minute, but I'm back. Doing a tutorial mix on a song called "We Keep It 100%." This is something, a compilation album I'm working with a lot of artists around Seattle and other states that we will be dropping in 2013. But this is a mix that I'm starting out with just the drums. I got all the other tracks hidden, and I'm doing this in Logic Pro. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this mixed up. So here's the track. This is just the drums, percussion, and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and play this back. Everything's set at 0. Okay, so you can see it was clipping a little bit. You see I got a Lin Phase EQ, which is built into Logic. I'm going to use that. You can see it's here, but it's not lit up. That means it's enabled. We're going to enable it right now. Or actually, we're going to open it up first, I guess. And let me just drag it over here. Well, you know, typically, depending on what you're doing, what kind of sound you're trying to capture, I'll sometimes mess with the standard settings in there and just kind of tweak it to what sounds good to me or what type of sound I'm trying to capture. Now you can see this is set to 0. Typically, you know, me myself, I always like to go about around -5 dBs. To start off, we're gonna solo this kick track like that, and then if it's gonna solo, there it goes. So right now, with the EQ turned off, we're just gonna play this back, just the kick. Now you can see turning that down to -5 dBs kind of brought us out of the clipping range, and you know, it sounds good. I think I would like to kind of enhance that sound a little bit with a little bit of EQ. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just show you by taking this bypass off, playing this back. That's with EQ. Without EQ. With EQ, you can see it's more, you can see that's more punchier. So what I did with that kick, you know, I added a standard EQ like preset, and then I kind of tweaked it a little bit. You can see that the bottom end is at 31.5 hertz. You know, hitting up there roughly up around here, around +5 dBs. You know, we kind of like to play around with it a little bit. One thing I can suggest when you are doing that, you want to make very, very, very small little changes. Nothing dramatically big, because that would dramatically change your whole sound. It can change your whole mix and everything, but that's what I did there. I'm going to go ahead and turn this compressor on. I actually open it up. Let me drag it over here. And, oops. So here I have a compression, and I'm just gonna go ahead and play this back without the compression turned off. Now this is where I'm looking for that big kick, that big, you know, that big sound for my drums, because you know it's the drums and clap that I'm gonna really put out there in the mix. So. All right, so I'm gonna play this back one more time. I just want to point something out, just something I like to do when I do the mixing thing. I'm gonna play this back right now. Now you see that? That's really up there. It's going in the red, where I guess that's not a really terrible thing. Some people will ride with that, but me myself, if I see red, man, I just try to avoid that, because in the long run, you know, as a whole song, it's gonna get, you know, when it gets to the mastering stage, it's gonna get louder. And that's really when you want to try to. I'm just trying to capture a really good sound. So what I'm gonna do on this compression is I'm gonna turn it down on this gain just a little bit. I would say maybe down to like -1 dBs. Oops. Right about there. And I'm betting that I'll take the, you know, just right on up there, but I'm just not like up in it. You know what I'm saying? So let me play this back. And you see it's still hitting. It's not seeing no red, just yellow, which is cool with in my book. And let's take it to the next level now. Mess with that snare. All right, so we're gonna throw the snare up in the mix. You know, it's still set at 0. I'm just gonna play that back and just, you know, let you see what we're looking at. Okay, you see that's hitting pretty good. Generally, I still like with the kick. I like to pull back a little bit. Every song's a little bit different, but generally I'll start off like around, I don't know, maybe like, we'll just say -5.6 dBs. Let's play that back right now. And I'm feeling that. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and add on another EQ here. Right out of Logic. I'm going to do the linear phase EQ again. Except this one's a stereo. The other one was a mono because that was a kick track. And here again, like I said before, you know, it depends on what I'm looking for. Sometimes it's not funny. Sometimes the presets, they work. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have to tweak it. But it's not a bad place, especially if you're new, you know, to mixing everything. You may want to try using those and just using your ear and just messing around with the different frequencies and stuff like that. But I'm just going to pick a standard EQ. And you can see what we got here. So I'm going to play that back right now. Okay, you can see I'm clipping here just a little bit. So let's see what we can do about that. We don't want no clipping, like I said before. So I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more. Play it back. And on here, I just turned the master gain down a little bit on the snare EQ. That brought me out of the red. And then, it was a little bit too low. So I turned it back up to kind of even it out with the kick so you can still hear it. So, yeah. So, with the snare, I'm going to leave it the way it is for right now. I will probably put a bus and put some reverb on that and run that into the snare for right now. I'm leaving it alone. I'm not going to compress it because usually I would, but it all depends. Like with that one, I think I created that out of stylus, and it was already loud to begin with. Like, damn, you need to compress that. Shit's loud. But anyways, there's more than one way to skin a cat. When you saw I did was I turned his master gain down. I kind of did a little fiddling, 42.5 hertz on the low end here. Actually, I ain't got that on turned on, so I'm looking at the wrong place. 152 hertz and 5, plus 5 on the dBs and 3.7 dBs. Kind of did a little fiddling. More than most likely, I will come back to that and mess with it some more as I add in other stuff. Because as you bring other stuff, you may just hear it differently. You may want something to change, and in which cause going back to it and kind of tweaking a little bit more. But for right now, we're gonna leave it alone. That's that. Keep it cracking. Keep it moving. All right. So right now, what I'm gonna do is bring in. I got 2 tracks, 2 different types of kind of percussion sounds. I'm gonna add in some highs. And I'm just going to play this so you can hear it. That's basically what we're looking at. So what I'm going to do right now is just like I normally did on the kick and the snare. I'm just going to pull this down to maybe about... I'm going to go a little bit lower, like -8 dBs, like on both. One's a little bit louder than the other one, so I compensated by turning this one up a little bit more. Maybe just turn that one down to -91 dBs, play it back. Okay, so that's cool. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead. I'm going to open up another EQ. Same EQ as I've been opening up for all the other ones. This is another stereo one. Linear phase EQ. And there we go. And since I'm going to put a phase EQ on the other one, but I'm going to change it with, it's not going to be the same, of course. Let me just drag this one over here. What I'll do right now is if you hold down Option and Command, I think it is, on Logic, you can actually just drag this copied over to the next track, and boom, you don't gotta, it's kind of a shortcut. Anyways, what I'm gonna do right now is just turn this one off for a minute. We're looking at the first high here. That's what I named it. And I will go in here and just see what's in here for presets and just see what, something may work, may not. May or may not. We'll try this standard hi-hat, which probably will require some tweaking, but let's see. Play that back one more time. You see I kind of did a little bit of adjustments here. I'm actually kind of like that already, and that's just with a little bit of EQ on it. Now I'm going to bring in the other one, and we're going to open up this other EQ and drag it over here. And again, I may, let me see what's in here. We'll use the same preset, but I'll definitely see if I can tweak it a little bit more. And also, what's another good thing to do? Panning, really important, you know, because you don't want everything to be centered. And as a matter of fact, eventually, not right this moment, but I will go back and mess with that snare, either panning it slightly to the left or slightly to the right. I just don't want it dead center. And I'm going to kind of play around with these high 1 and high 2s. All right, so we're going to kind of just tweak the second high EQ just a little bit. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the first high off because I just want to hear it by itself. Okay, I'm going to play the other high back now. And that's good for right this moment. Of course, those are another couple tracks I would like to, you know, run through a bus with some reverb. But for right this moment, I'm just trying to get some mixing elements going on, and then that way I can start really getting in depth on the panning and stuff. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in another track, and I actually need a ding, but you know, it's just like a little jingle, you know, percussion sound. So here we'll go ahead and there we go. And we're going to just leave that the way it is for right this moment, you know. Let's see what else we got here. I got a couple cymbals. Let me just... see, I think it's this one. And what I'm going to do is take this and just move it down here. Yep. Bring this back. Okay. All right, next we're going to bring it in is these two cymbals here. Hey, there's going to definitely be some, panning action going on here in a minute. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and play this so you can just hear it. Okay, so definitely I'm gonna want to add some EQ into this to drop out some of that low end because on something like that, I definitely don't want that in my mix. What I'm hearing, and a couple, definitely some reverb to add to both cymbals and stuff. And again, I'll do that in a minute. I just want to try to get a control of the volume on it and let's play that back real quick one more time. Okay, and again, I'm going to roll with, and a matter of fact, here's another trick for you. If you grab that one and grab this one, like that, all right? Yeah. And we're going to roll with the EQ. Same one, which is the Lanard Phase EQ. And it actually puts them on both of them. Bam. Another trick. And I believe when I did that, you hold down, you just highlight them by holding down shift. You highlight it and you just drag it, whatever. But yeah, so now that we got that, cool. Here you can see I've added, I've got the two Lanard Phase EQs on here. I did pick a default preset, and again with these I would just kind of I definitely need to do some tweaking to it. So I'm gonna play this back, and this is on the cymbal, this track right here, because it's gonna play first and then this one's gonna play on the second, I think on the other 4 bars, whatever it is. Okay, and I'm still working with this. What's good? So I've gone ahead and we're going back to the kick and the snare because I told you before I wanted to add a little reverb on that. And what I've done here is gone ahead and created auxiliary bus one, and I put the out of the box reverb that's out of Logic in there, the space one. So I got that on bus one. There's a couple ways you can do this, but I'm doing it this way, particularly running a send and return. So I have the bus set on here on the send, and then basically I can adjust the signal on how much verb I want to come on this snare track. So I got it bust over here, and I got it named reverb. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can actually, if it's similar sound, the save on CPU and stuff like that, you can actually run this bus one to several different tracks and have it run off this one auxiliary, and that's just another option. And a lot of people, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but this is one way I'm particularly doing it right now. So I've gone ahead and created the bus one. There's my snare, there's a kick that's hot. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on, and yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of play this. And you see, I got a little bit of activity going on here on the send. Okay, so you saw that I just added a little bit of activity on here, just a little. You don't need a lot, just a little bit to enhance the sound. You know what I'm saying? Did a little panning like we talked about before, a little bit to the left. So we got that going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bring back in these highs, and so what I think at this point, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and add, just see it, and I may need to switch to something else, but let me just go ahead and put this on here. Just give that a little bit of a turn up. Play that back. All right. All right, so I did a couple changes. I went on ahead and colored this, made it purple. Uh, if you right click on that bus, because it's only going to appear in your mixing window, and it's going to appear to the far right over by your stereo outputs. But if you right click on here and create, select, arrange track, what that does, it actually brings it up in your arrange window, and it allows you to move it. So basically, because I changed my mind, I changed my mind a lot. I moved this next to the snare, and I changed the name to abbreviation for SN for snare, and then reverb, because I'm going to use this particular auxiliary for that track only. And I did switch it over to stereo. I changed my mind. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of ways you can do this. This is not the only way, but this is just a way of doing it. But, you can see I got that going on. And so what I'm doing right now, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to come back. Actually, let me open this window up. I like this window better, so y'all can see more. So what I'm going to do now, I want to create another reverb auxiliary. So, over here at the end, I'll just go here, create. I'm going to make it a stereo. And we're going to put this on bus 2. And we're going to create it. Boom. There it is. Now, what I'm going to do now, sticking with the stuff that's within Logic. I do have a lot of other plugins to choose from, but I'm going to stick with the Logic one in the box. That's a stereo one right there. There it is. Now this is for some of the percussion tracks here. Can't even talk this morning. What do I want? I don't know. But I'm going to use a preset and just kind of mess around with, see what I can find something that's pertaining to what I'm doing. maybe like one of these gate verbs. And, indoor spaces. Half of these I haven't even tried. I usually end up picking one of them and then changing shit. So, anyways, I'm gonna ride with this Music Club preset, and then now I do want to put these on both of these tracks. So again, if you hold down Shift, drag it over, it selects both tracks. You can go to bus 2, and it's gonna put them on both tracks, so you don't have to do it twice. I'm gonna just move this out of the way. You won't be able to see that for right now. And I'm gonna name this, and then I'll show you that thing. Let's see. We'll say high verb. Right? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you that if you right click, and then create. And see that? And moved it over here. Now, if you go into your arrange window, right here, we'll just get that out of the way. Now, you see where your verb is? I actually want it to sit down here because I want to keep it next to whatever I'm running it to. And I may run it through more stuff, but for right now, it's going through high 1 and high 2. So it's sitting there. And another thing you can do, so that way when you're looking at this window to kind of keep things together, you can, let's see, you can change the icon to one of these, icon pictures. That's just, man, just know where you're at. Usually with like a verb or something like that, I'll pick something that stands out different from everything else, so that, that's a verb track, and I'll do that for the other one too. But what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and, it doesn't really matter too much. I'll just pick this because I think I'm going to be able to tell the difference. That's a verb. So that's done. So, I don't know, last video got messed up. So I did do some couple changes here, but I'll just explain to what I did. So in this second symbol, when I created it, it was short, and when I imprinted the track and converted from using an instrument into audio track, it was a little bit short, which is cool because there's plugins you can use to enhance that. And just to kind of show you that, right here, listen. This is Woof It On. Off. If you notice, it was a lot shorter, the sound, and I put an echo on it, and I put it at 1%, repeat it's at 47, dries at 96%, and just a tad to give it, to enhance the sound, to carry it longer. And also what I was going to do, I brought in this 909, I brought in the linear phase EQ, and I put a low cut 50 hertz on that, which brought it down to 50 hertz, 24 dBs, so that it cuts out some of that. And also to enhance it, I put this sub bass. Sometimes I mess with this. I always try to. If it sounds cool, then I'll roll with it. If it don't, then I won't. But in this case, it did, because it just kind of, that 909 kicks with that kick, and I just kind of wanted to just, on certain different measures, to be like just boom, you know what I'm saying? So I got that going down, and right now, what I got here right now, what I'm gonna go do is go ahead and convert this into a stereo track, so I can start bringing the other stuff in and getting that going. And then yeah, I'll just play this back real quick one more time. And on that first cymbal, I kind of turned it a little bit to the right, almost center, but not quite there. And it does sound better in that position. So I'm going to go ahead and print. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. You can actually imprint live by running all these tracks into an available stereo bus signal, actually into an audio track, but just using that bus signal. And that's what I'm going to do. There are other ways of doing it. You can actually just bounce it as a stereo track and then import it back in your session. You know, since I ever learned how to imprint, that's what I've been doing for years. And I like to see what's being recorded, so that way you don't bounce it and you listen to it and it's like, oh, I didn't want that, or you know what I'm saying, you catch it. I don't know, I guess you could say bouncing is easier, but I like to imprint, so I'm gonna do that. All right, so something video fucked up again, excuse my El Frencho, but what I did was I'm gonna imprint. So basically I took all these tracks here and I ran it into auxiliary 3 because we're using 1 and 2. So, oops, this should go into 3 2 as well, because I want all of this to run at 3. Now, Logic automatically creates an auxiliary bus for you, saying, hey, here you go, but we don't need that in actuality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to delete it. Delete anyways. Boom, it's gone. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to create an audio track, stereo. And, yeah, it's already ready for me. So I got stereo track, input is bus 3. So we create this. Boom. And that's going to stereo out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this drums. Right. I like to keep everything in caps. All right. So right now, in order to get this, all these tracks to come through this stereo track, the signal to hit through here, we're going to want to arm it, because that's the only way you're going to be able to hear it. Now you're going to see everything playing through that track. So basically that's it. Now my whole arrangement's already been laid out. You can see I got my hook. I like to label everything, keep everything neat. Man, if another producer had to come and mess with this, they would see exactly what I did and be able to pick up where I left off or do it the way they wanted to. I mean, everything's mapped out. You know, it's not like, what's this? You know, you can see everything. You know what's what. So what I'm going to do, it has an intro. It has a ending and everything. Is I'm going to go ahead and imprint this. So we'll just do that right now. So yeah, I ran into a little issue here with Logic, but I fixed it. But anyways, some of this you missed, so I'll just explain it real quick. Let me bop over to the mixer. Okay, so basically what I did was I took all the tracks, including Bustin' 1 and 2. Oh no. So I took all the tracks, including the auxiliaries that I have both the reverbs on, and I ran into bus 3. And then what I did was, now when you do that, Logic's going to create an auxiliary, so a bus, which you don't need. You just delete that, create a audio track, and run the input into bus 3, and the stereo will automatically go to stereo out where you want it to go. In order to get sound through this, you're going to want to arm this, and then we'll just go ahead and also name this track. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play it from the beginning through my whole arrangement. You know, I could play part of it and just let it copy and paste. You know, I want to undo that. I'll just let it record through. If I can spell. Okay, so that's in there. And then what we'll do is we'll pop back over to the arrange window and you can see that's my arrangement there. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and record it. Nice and clean. So I'm gonna let this ride out. Catch me next time. I'm gonna bring the other stuff in. It's a real cool beat. Keep a lookout for your boy. D Dweller out.